mean, you would have come across Sir Bobby in your time at Old Trafford. What are your memories of him?
Well, I think, first of all, he was just a gentleman. I mean, he was always there. He was Manchester United through and through. Manchester United's arguably greatest ever player, England's greatest ever player, you know, in terms of winning trophies, which you expect of somebody of that stature. But I just think the way he carried himself around us, he was always there in the dressing room after games, Michael, remember. But he was always so calm, always such a gentleman, you know, always approachable. And I think that's what makes these iconic clubs, having these legends of the game in and around the next generation, mentoring them. And, you know, Sir Bobby was arguably the greatest ever. And it'd be sadly missed, and I'm sure there'll be some amazing tributes, and rightly so. He was an absolute icon for everyone.
Yeah. For someone to be so influential at the club as well, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, he literally never missed a match. He was never not in the dressing room after the game, either congratulating people or, you know, commiserating. But it was always with the same tone. He never got too excited. He never got down. He was always there supporting everybody. You know, everyone says it when someone passes away, don't they? But he was total and utter gentleman. You know, a nice man. So grounded for what he achieved in life. Never, you know, spoke down to anybody or anything else like that. And when you look at his achievements, I mean, wow, it's just a wow, isn't it?
It is a wow.
What didn't he achieve? Yeah. A World Cup winner. He won everything, and yeah, what a man, and what a huge loss.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Martin, I guess, you know, you're sort of from the opposition, if you like, you know, a team who, you know, Manchester United always fought against very hotly as well. I mean, what were your memories of him? You've met him too, haven't you?
I had the pleasure of meeting him. Always extremely dignified. You know, when those two teams coming together, he was a very emotional man, but the one you met, which was very graceful, when they won, invariably they were winning a lot of things at that time. But what a wonderful player. When you see the clips, his left foot was a thing of beauty. Onto his right foot, just how would you deal with him today? He was just an incredible player, but also a gentleman to go with it, which makes him extra special.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Owen, you sort of alluded to it. You say he's the greatest ever, and it's hard to compare, isn't it, between eras? But, you know, a two-footed player, anyone would kill for a two-footed player these days as well. Is he the greatest for you?
Well, I just think if you look back to the way some of his goals, some of his highlights, people go look at it on YouTube, the way he hit the ball so clean. Back then, I'm sure the balls weren't flying as good as they were now, so they would have been really heavy, but to hit the ball as effortlessly as he did, Martin mentioned, with both feet, was quite rare. Even now, you don't get two-footed players, so I think Sir Bobby was kind of ahead of his time in many fields, but in ball striking, I think he was out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, what a player to have looked at. You know, we had Bobby Moore, great technician, but he was doing everything really at a high pace. People aren't realising how quick he was. We're just seeing some of those clips. And also his braveness, you know, tough man, what he went through as well within his life. There's talk as well, isn't there, when they won that great victory, they won the Champions League, he found it difficult to celebrate because he was playing for those poor colleagues of his that he'd lost in that Munich disaster. So he is a man that transcends, really, lots of generations. And it seems every time a new player arrived at Manchester United, they had to go through Sir Bobby first, just for him to welcome them to the football club.
I think that's quite important, isn't it, as well, having a history about the club and sometimes living history. You know, when some guy walks into the dressing room and you're a new kid on the block from abroad, you might think, right, OK, and you quickly understand the history of these clubs, Manchester United in particular. And I think that's really important, that players, when they come to a club, they understand the history of the club, they understand what's gone before them, and some of the great players that have made these clubs great. And he was certainly one of those.